Okay. You want to know who plays Mandela? I play Mandela.
You are a girl.
So what?
Sarafina, tell us what happens in your story.
This is my favorite scene from the 1992 African cult classic Sarafina, written by Mbongeni Ngema and directed by Darrell Roodt, based off of the 1987 musical by the same name. And what follows after that brief dialogue exchange that you just saw is an epic musical masterpiece about Nelson Mandela being the hero that South Africa needed during the apartheid regime, which of course I can't play here because of copyright, duh, but you can find it in this timestamp right over here. But what if I told you that this 1992 low-budget musical that barely anyone outside Africa knows is the greatest depiction of revolution ever portrayed on cinema? What if I told you that this fictional, almost celestial character of Nelson Mandela that never appears in the film at all leaves more of an impact and influence than this Oscar Schindler guy left for the Jews during the Holocaust in Steven Spielberg's epic masterpiece that came out a year later?
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Sarafina is a better movie than Schindler's List. By no means is that possible. All I'm saying is at the end of the movie, I felt something. I could sing all the songs. I could remember every emotion. I could quote every line. I could feel and resonate with the film, but not the same with Schindler's List.
I didn't do enough.
You did so much.
The character of Oskar Schindler, as portrayed in almost 75% of all scenes in the movie, doesn't leave much of an impact to me like Nelson Mandela, who's not even visible in the movie, does. But you know what? Let's put a pin on this topic. I'll come back to it later.
But first, here's the synopsis.
Set in the smoldering streets of Soweto, South Africa, Sarafina is a 1992 musical drama that puts you right in the heart of one of history's most defiant moments, the anti-apartheid struggle of the 1970s. South Africa is a powder keg, and the apartheid government has its boot-pressed family on the neck of every black man, woman, and child in the country. This is the world Sarafina grows up in, and it is brutal. Played by Leleti Khumalo, Sarafina is a teenage girl who idolizes Nelson Mandela and dreams of a South Africa that doesn't treat her like she's worth nothing. At school, her teacher Mary Masumbuko, played by Whoopi Goldberg, feeds that fire, teaching her students black pride and resistance in a system designed to crush both.
So what is the name of the first man in South Africa? Right. Nobody knows his name. What's the name of the first white man in South Africa? Jan van Riebeeck.
Then the government snatches Mary away, just like that. Arrested, gone. And that's when things go completely to hell. With no guidance and years of rage finally boiling over, Sarafina and her classmates stop singing and start fighting. During the student uprisings, they burn a black police officer alive, who by the way was a collaborator, a sellout, and was working for the regime. It's kinda ugly, I'm not gonna lie. It's violent. And the film doesn't flinch from it. The government comes down hard. Sarafina is arrested, thrown in prison, and tortured. She endures abuse that will break most people, but she doesn't break. When she's finally released, the world hasn't changed much. Apartheid is still standing, her mother is still a domestic worker for a white family, and Nelson Mandela is still in prison. The movie ends with a montage of narration from victims of the apartheid arrest who vividly narrate all the brutalities the government instilled upon them, and a final scene of Sarafina walks out unbowed, unbroken, and still burning with that same fire, the same rightful justified hate of the apartheid government in South Africa. The end. Okay, normally I don't always pair these two together, but for this video, I feel that they exist codependently. You cannot talk about the acting in Sarafina without talking about the story and the script. One thing I liked about this movie is the distinct character speak it gives all its main actors on screen. If you are reading the script of this movie and you blur out and hide the names during the dialogues, you can tell that this is a specific character talking.
Look at the camera. Flesh. Smile at the camera. Flesh. Look at everybody.
Sarafina's dialogue are depicted as overdramatic, almost theatrical and downright exaggerated. Because look at me in the eye and tell me if anybody speaks like this. This is different from Mary Masumbuko, Sarafina's teacher.
I want the war to be over. I want the hate to be over. I want my Joe back in my arms.
She has a sense of realism, maturity, stoicism, doesn't waste words, she almost never interrupts in a conversation. Every single line of her dialogue are intentional, borderline silent. And what about this other guy, Crocodile?
It takes one man to burn a store. It takes 1,000 to close it down. We need thousands. We want the people awake, alive, angry.
He is literally a realistic depiction of every South African citizen feeling the wrath of the apartheid regime. Reckless, incites violence, burns up the school, allegedly. And at most, he is a patriotic pro-African. Screenwriter Mbongeni Ngema understood the assignment. Every line of dialogue was intentional and memorable. This also transfers to the music numbers. Take a look at this. Every song performed by their teacher Mary Masumbuko is hopeful, jovial, spiritual. Literally, there's this music number called Lord's Prayer. Again, I can't play it because of copyright, but it's really a catchy song. Sarafina's music numbers are about hope and encouragement and all that fairy tale nonsense. It's not rooted in reality. It's sort of fiction, downright comical at times. There's this one called Sarafina. Literally, it's about her, how she aspires to be an A-list actor and walking the red carpet. It's not real. This is her escape, and portraying them on the screen with over-the-top choreography is her way of coping. This is Sarafina's way of dealing with trauma. Then we have this one, which I think is the most famous one from the movie Freedom. Freedom is coming tomorrow. The saddest part about this particular music number is where in the runtime it actually occurs. After Sarafina was captured, tortured, arrested, assaulted, and many of her friends died, then this song randomly appears? Come on. Apparently this film took place in the late 70s. At this point in time, Nelson Mandela was in jail for almost 15 years, and he was not going to get released for at least another decade. It's almost as if the story is mocking you for trying to think the characters of this film have any sense of realism. The movie is mocking you for feeling hopeful. The movie is telling me as a watcher, you see all that hope and joy Sarafina is showing? I want you to fuck off for at least another 15 years, because freedom is not coming tomorrow. Not anytime soon.
I have watched a lot of musicals from Hollywood. I've seen a lot of movies with memorable music numbers. But I got a question.
Into the unknown.
What the hell does Elsa know about Into the Unknown?
Don't get me wrong, it's a good music number. It's catchy. I've seen it like 50 times. I know the lyrics off it. I've sung about it in many karaoke's, true story. I even play that shit every time I feel depressed. I love this song. Idina Menzel's voice, classic. But I have a question. What the does Into the Unknown serve the story of? Like, I get it, it's a song about Elsa's journey into the unknown, but I don't feel it. I don't see how Into the Unknown connects to the main story. It's good for marketing the movie in a YouTube music video, like a month before it releases. That's about it. I don't see how Into the Unknown is incorporated into the story.
The music numbers in Sarafina were part of the script. They pushed the script. They were necessary. They were good. One thing I love about this film is how cinematographer Mark Vicente and director Darrell Roodt are masters in framing, blocking, and composition. They aren't afraid to copy and pay homages to other similar great directors. The one style I like to see them use more was the Spike Lee edits in Dutch angle. A Dutch angle is a type of camera shot that has a noticeable tilt on the camera's x-axis. Directors often use a Dutch angle to signal to the viewer that something is wrong, disorienting, or unsettling. Quentin Tarantino loves using Dutch angles, especially when the protagonist is winning. Take a look at this shot from Inglourious Basterds. Inception uses Dutch angles much more literally than usual, but my favorite is from this scene in the 1989 Spike Lee classic, Do the Right Thing.
Fuck you! We want the black people on that motherfucking wall of fame now!
The whole scene lasts 6 minutes and is entirely shot in Dutch angles. It's an argument, it's unsettling, it's chaotic, it's messy. Director Darrell Roodt doesn't shy away from repeating this verbatim. Every scene that involves a confrontation is framed with a Dutch angle. Another thing I noticed is this dolly in while breaking the fourth wall thing. The cinematography is not just limited to paying homages. There is a unique visual style from Darrell Roodt. I want you to take a look at this scene right here. For context, it's Sunday and everyone is just from church. However, Sarafina discovers that one of his classmates is a rat and he was knocking on them to the police. It takes approximately 3 minutes, but let me try breaking it down in 30 seconds.
Alright, here we go.
We first start with a wide shot showing Sarafina and a family walking. Then this kid runs away and the wide shot pans to the right while simultaneously changing into a medium shot. All this is done without zooming. At first I thought this was just a one-off occurrence until it happened again. But this time, the opposite thing happens. It starts with a medium shot of this pig carrying the kid, and this time it combines a dolly to the left with a pan to the left. And the shot moves from a medium shot to an over-the-shoulder shot. This is his style. Ha! Nailed it. 30 seconds.
That's what she said.
Mark Vicente has his own style on top of using borrowed and stolen techniques. One thing I love about art is this quote from Quentin Tarantino. I steal from everything. Great artists steal. They don't do homages. And guess what, guys? Stealing is good. Well, stealing art to be specific, not public resources and tax money from citizens. That's why we got samples and interpolations in music. That's why we got covers, and that's why everybody is still doing the Akira slide 30 years later. One other thing I noticed about the cinematography for Sarafina is the color palette. It's hard not to see the inspiration. An orange hue with a brown background is almost visible in every shot. Kinda similar to Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Again, I'm not complaining. If anything, I encourage this. I wanna see modern movies mix a lot of new stuff with the old stuff. Copying is okay. This looked like 70 students. This looked like what an African city ghetto resembled in the late 70s, and the choice of background used, from the classrooms to the cars to the armored trucks to the infrastructure, just screamed 70s. I like how the show managed to pull this off with a very limited budget, and it's small things like this that make us appreciate this art. This was adapted from a play. In as much as this is a musical, it is also a live action adaptation. You get these cool scenes where the editor effortlessly transitions from a stage set into an actual on-location set seamlessly. And yeah, I get it. Doing things like this is normal in Hollywood blockbusters. But you gotta remember that this is an African film from the early 90s with minimal budget. Pulling this off is a big deal.
People don't like the boycott of the Boer stores. They say we only hurt ourselves.
People say, what people? People say, do nothing. People say, what can we do?
So, the one thing that really kinda pissed me off, and I'm not even joking, was the dialogue. Let me get this straight. This is supposed to be a South African epic about Pan-Africanism and how the locals and natives are fighting the apartheid rule. But why the fuck are they speaking a Mzungu language? I don't know, maybe I'm slow or stupid or something, but that kinda defeats the whole purpose. You wanna differentiate yourself from the white trash? Stop acting like a white trash. English is their language.
What do you mean?
Open your eyes, Sarafina. People disappear. Haven't you noticed? Mary Masumbuko's one crazy teacher. How long will they let her alone to corrupt our innocent minds?
Who the hell says open your eyes, Sarafina, with this over-the-top delivery? This just looks so amateur and I hate it.
Like, I want you guys to get this. We have accents. Everybody in different regions of Africa, Sub-Saharan, West Africa, East Africa, North Africa, we all have different accents. And the accents that unfortunately we are used to hearing in relation to the English language are either the British accent or the American accent. When you speak with a South African accent in a manner that you want to communicate and reach to a larger audience, it comes off as cringe. And I don't know how to say this politely, but I would prefer if this cast just spoke Xhosa. I'm even learning it on Duolingo and other platforms. I've been trying to get into this language. It's a beautiful language, and I would really, really wish that the script and the dialogue was in Xhosa. And I know I'm speaking for a lot of people.
Borrowed language, borrowed culture, borrowed intonations, borrowed ideology, a borrowed god. Because believe it or not, before the 1900s, nobody in Africa worshipped Yahweh. So having a whole musical number about Yahweh, a god that was brought to us by the white colonialist European trash, come on guys. An African movie should be done in an African language. It's not rocket science. The acting was good, but it is heavily ruined by people who aren't fluent and native English speakers trying to articulate English to reach a broader audience. And yeah, that's basically it. That's the only problem I had with this film. Everything else was great and epic and flawless.
So back to the elephant in the room. Remember when I earlier said that this film, Sarafina, is better than Schindler's List?
Here's my problem with Schindler's List. As a movie, it's good. It's a technical masterpiece. Steven Spielberg brought his A-game with Ben Kingsley and Ralph Fiennes and Liam Neeson. Nobody is refuting on how good the score is. Probably one of John Williams' top 10, and that's saying a lot given that John Williams gave us all these masterpieces. The film won Best Picture. Spielberg won his first directing Oscar. As a movie, it's good. It ticks all the right traditional check boxes of being a good film. But at the end of the day, I know I speak for everyone when I say this. I don't give a flying fuck about this story. It does nothing for me at the end of the day. Sure, I sympathize with the Jews and their suffering, but I quickly forget about it the moment the movie ends.
I don't give a shit, man. I'm sorry.
Sarafina stuck with me. The villains of Sarafina, these Mzungu police officers, these Mzungu prison guards who tortured her, kidnapped and killed her teacher. massacred students in their classrooms, forced the students to change the curriculum, and not embrace the African roots.
Saying young school-going girls. No, seriously, that actually happened. Look it up.
Forced colored and black South Africans into concentration camps. I'm sorry, but that kind of stayed with me more. I don't know why. I promise you it's not a race thing. But the story of Sarafina left a bigger emotional impact than the story of Oscar Schindler. The music numbers especially. I don't know how much I can emphasize this, but these songs are literally African songs for the government oppression. We played here in Kenya. They played when Raila Odinga died, may God rest his soul.
We play it during Maandamano. This is the go-to movie for any African.
It's almost an initiation ritual. If you're an African, you must watch Sarafina because it's just that good. It's kind of funny I'm circling back to the whole language thing because Schindler's List was about Nazi Germany and everyone in the film actually spoke Germany or Polish and Hebrew, despite most of these actors not even speaking it natively. If only Sarafina could embrace their local languages. From a technical and filmmaking perspective, Schindler's List is good. The budget difference alone is night and day. But at the end of the day, I'll still watch Sarafina every single time over Schindler's List. So yeah, with all that said, I'm giving Sarafina a personal rating of 9 over 10. I'll also give it a 9 on IMDb, and in Letterboxd, I think I'll give it a solid 4 or 4.5. I don't know. I think that's fair.
You know what? Let me do this. Let me start a brand new Letterboxd list of the best African movies that I like, and the number one inaugural entry into this Letterboxd list is Sarafina. The list may be subject to change over time, but I think Sarafina deserves to be the first one inducted here.
So, I'll be reviewing more South African cinema down the road. Shout out to Darrell Roodt, shout out to Mbongeni Ngema.
You both gave us a masterpiece. I recommend Sarafina. Go watch it.